Hello and welcome back. This is about where we left last week's video with the point had disintegrated, and then we had a look at a few ways of throwing point switches on the bench. So I removed the station shortly afterwards and a few other items to create space to repair the point. You can see we're all in a bit of a mess here. And there's the point repaired. So that's working in the direction it should be now. And I believe this is about what I was trying to do when it spectacularly derailed. And there it goes, off up the incline. And away over the bridge. And then a few days have passed, and I got this Princess Victoria R.053 set up with a 01 module in it. You can hear it creaking away there. And then these blood and custard coaches. They're sort of broken ones I've had, or damaged, and I've found some sort of slightly more contemporary bogies from the late 70s, early 80s. We'll have a look at that a little bit later on. I was quite pleased with the effect of converting them. One of them I did quite some time ago. And they have a nice gentle stop there. So these XO type motors, I don't think they are the best companion for the 01. You can see that chattering away to get going. And it is a very sort of steppy effect, but it gets there. And off round the bend. Gentle stop before points 1 there, and then we'll close points 4 and open 1. And then we'll run into the station. We've got a lovely shot from above here as we get into the station. I love that. And then a nice gentle stop just after the canopy. So we're a couple of days on now. We're the evening of the 27th of April, so the spring, or the year, it really is marching on. So I've got the Princess still sitting in the station where I left her the other day, and I've got the 01 unit switched off over here, but I decided to hook up my other 01 unit over there just into the main line. So I've disconnected this one, so it's switched off. It's got no influence whatsoever. I thought they might interfere with each other if I left two plugged in. And what I've discovered is I've got control over the points from this side with those point modules, because it doesn't really register. It's a different controller, which I thought was quite an interesting development or way to use it. I had sort of toyed with the idea. I didn't quite know whether it would work. So I've been giving it a bit of a fiddle, and it does sort of work. So there's the Princess, class 37. So I think what we'll do, we'll get the Princess and those old blood and custard coaches that I've put new bogies on, and we'll have a quick look at those. We'll have a glance at the catalogue there as well, the 56 catalogue, I think that is, for the first year that the coaches showed up. So let's have a quick look over here. So this is my modified layout plan. Well, the plan's not modified, but the point numbering is. So that's number 1 over there, outside of the sort of entrance into the station. But number 2 is the opening to the elevated section, and then we run around. And we've got point number 3 is now the one into the goods shed, and we come further around the main line or the outside line. And number 4 is the one which controls the approach into the long sidings and the station approach. And then number 5 is the crossover, so we've got that up and running, and then you follow it around again. Number 6 is also a crossover, that's up and running. 7, 8, 9 and 10 all running. 7, 8 and 9 run into the various platforms in the station. Number 10 jumps out onto the other end of the elevated section, which runs up and over. And then we have number 11, which is where I've stopped. I've sort of run out of time really. So number 11 is the crossover, so I can go from the inside line into this station approach. I can then back up into the station or come back around through here, but I haven't got this one wired up yet. That's as far as I've got, number 11. So I think if we select locomotive number 3 now, which is the Princess. So locomotive 3, enter, and we're in forward. So this could all go horribly wrong. So let's turn around. I should have moved the chair that's right behind me at the moment. It's making this difficult. So if we get a bit of an elevated look down here, we'll get the Princess around. So we'll give that a little power. There she goes, crawling out of the station. Hear that lovely chatter from the motor. Bit sticky on those points. So I'm operating the slider switch sort of behind me. It's a very odd sensation moving the slider switch while you're not looking at it. And we've got to stop that there, I think. I didn't realise the train was quite as long as that. So that is point number 4. So if we have a look at that, my arm's not long enough, so that's set for straight. We need to be set for curved on that. So let's go for the switches. So accessory 4, set for curved, and then we'll just roll the Princess forward a little bit. Let's hold that up a little. I don't know whether you saw the spark there as she went through those points. I think I'm going to have to get a little bit of nail varnish in some of these and sort of insulate them a little bit better. So I'm just reaching over here and we'll just open that one. I haven't got that one done yet. So I don't know what number off the top of my head that one's going to become. I think that one becomes 23. So I'll have a look at that. So we now want to be in reverse. There we go. And then we'll just swap that round. So I'm going to give that a little bit more power than I might, just so we don't have a stall on that point. I strongly suspect you'll stall coming back through there and short out, but let's give it a go. Right, straight through. And we'll have a gentle stop there. So yeah, I think the backs of the wheels, they just short out on these parts here. And that's where we're getting the stalls and the flashes from. So that's the Princess. We'll have a look at that. So it's a rather sort of worn one, or not worn. Somebody's had good fun. They've detailed it. If you look round at the front there, perhaps I should pull that off the rails and we'll have a look at that. So you have to unhook the tender, and we'll just unhook that off the coaches. So let's see if we can grab hold of that. There's a little bit of scuffing on this one. It's been in and out of the toy box. Now I can't remember whether I've run this one on the railway before. So I do have one that's in better condition than this, but it's buried away. And this one also had some rather butchered wiring on the inside. So let's have a look at it. The tender's fairly good. I've got some additional weight in this tender, so it did tend to sort of chatter around or wobble around on the rails without. It's much nicer with the additional weight in it. So let's pop that down. So this is from, I think these are from 74. So I'll put the information on the top of the screen there, so I can't remember it off the top of my head. But they're a very basic Princess. So it's the last of the original Princesses, I think, the last run of them. So Princess Victoria. So there's a little bit of rust there on the connection rod. There's a tiny bit missing off the lower part of the cab on one side, you see there. Let's flip that around. So that's damaged. That's long gone. It's possibly a part for 3D printing. It's a very, very small part, but I think probably it's within the realms of possibility making one of those. So I'll put an insert picture there, and you can see what she looks like with the chip installed in it. Nice strong motor in this, but what I've noticed is with this 01 you don't get the top end speed that you get off the traditional controllers, and this would really romp along on the traditional controller, but it's almost like she's only got 3/4 of the power available, which is maybe a good thing or a bad thing, but it does show up when it climbs, so it hasn't got quite the energy it might for climbing. See that pipework or rail has been painted up in black. I think that would have just been green on the original model. And then we get that detail in there on the front of the smoke box door, so we're just dropping focus there. There we go. It doesn't like focusing out of the centre at the moment. I'm looking at the focus point on this phone, so I can hear an emergency vehicle there. Oh, it's gone already. So there we've got a couple of safety valves stuck in the top there. I think there's another scuff in the boiler on the top there. So it's definitely been well used and played with. You've got nice detail there in the cab. I'll have a quick look along the bottom. So it's a fairly nice thing. As I say, on the traditional controller, she does really romp along. So just as you might expect. So I'm going to put that down there. We'll fiddle with getting that on the track in a moment. But let's have a look at these coaches. So we'll grab an uncoupler and see if we can encourage these. There we go. There's one out, and let's get this restaurant car out, because this is the first one that I'm not doing very well with this at all. I'm going to pick that up by hand and see if we can fiddle it out there, not concentrating. So I think I've shown this one before, and I did this a long time ago. It had broken bogies on it, and I came across these much later bogies, which are just push fit in from later coaches from the late 70s, early 80s style coaches, and it had silver seals on it, and I always thought that looked rather good, very similar to the original style bogies. And it gave it a new lease of life. I love the blue curtains in there, and I think that was a rather good thing. I never did come across any more of these bogies, so I had built up quite a collection of damaged coaches as time had gone on. And then Elaine had a number of these, the exact same bogies. This one's got plastic wheels in it, so this is an odd one I've got left over. And she had enough to do another 3 coaches on her website. She had a whole load of spares listed on the website of spare bodies for tenders and locomotives and from all sorts of ages. And these cropped up there, so I thought I'd better have those. So there was an odd number, so if I get another one, I could do another coach. But let's have a quick look at the others. So the coaches are all fairly poor condition. They're all different ages, I think. Some have glossy roofs, some have matte roofs. Some of the roofs were glued and been removed, and some of them are quite damaged. So I think some of the underframes may be damaged on them. Some of these wheels, silver seal wheels, have round section axles and some have square. So I think they all slotted in quite nicely. So we'll pop that one down. So I've got another coach here. I think we'll forego the uncoupler. And there we go, we've got those in there. So I thought that was quite a nice conversion. They run really, really smoothly. And I say these were just lying around as broken items, and they're sort of cleaned up quite nicely. And I think one of them might be missing some buffers. I can't remember. Sorry, that really is getting in the way at the moment. So it's not the ideal place. So this one's got a very shiny roof on it. So I think these first came along in '56, and some of the early ones may have had a much brighter red rather than a maroon as their base. So they were all slightly different ages. I think one of these had Mark 3 couplings on it. So there we go, that's one of the original bogies. So you can see the sort of damage. I'm sure many of you have seen these. You get a nice looking coach, or relatively nice looking coach, and then you've got a really damaged bogie, because the plastic in these becomes very brittle, and then through oiling and various things they become seized, and the little rails along the side there, the detailing tends to get broken. It's very, very fragile, and the age, I mean, they've got to be a good few years old, these, haven't they? So I was quite pleased with that as a conversion. So the colours are slightly different on each one, but definitely a new lease of life, I think. So let's see if I can just pop those back on the rail without shorting everything out. Here we go. So I do have some southern coaches which are in need of new bogies as well, of these earlier mainline sort of slight series. But we'll have to keep a lookout and see if we come across any more, because it'd be nice to have a smooth running set to go on this track, but maybe not. It's taken me, I don't know, I've been collecting these things for 10 years I think, is it now, or 12, and it's taken that long to get those done like that. So this is the usual sort of state of some of them. So yeah, that one's a break, but it's got a coach roof on it. You can see that one's very broken there. I've had the underframe off for something else, and this one has a roof that's been painted black, but then the coaches are slightly later on. It had a bow end, so it's got the wrong roof on it. So later variants of these coaches had bow ends. So I think these were available 56 to 62, and they've transformed quite a bit. And I think the very last ones in the series not only had the Mark III couplings, but they may have even had pinpoint axles. So they're quite a long running thing. Various sort of slightly different thicknesses of lines I think I've seen in these, and the numbers change in thickness and position. So in Pat Hammond's book there's several paragraphs about the numbering and the changes made to these coaches over the years. So there is another one which is not so damaged when you first look at it, but there's always a bit of damage somewhere, I think, around the coupling. That one's all broken away. I don't know whether we can see that. That's getting tight there. You can see that's all been broken off around there, but from arm's length it looks pretty good. So I had been working on a 3D item to put them back on. I think we've got one over here. So I know there was the little nut and bolt which came with a CKD kit works very well, but it'd been in the back of my mind to do something like this. There we go, let's get one of those. So see if we can do this one-handed. So if I turn that upside down, and we can just pop that in there. So I may end up having to cut away. So if I push that in, so it comes through the bogie. There we go. So it's a relatively nice fit, and you can see where we're going with this. Let's turn this upside down. I'm not sure whether I'm going to get away with this one-handed. So there, that will just poke into there. So again, there we go. So we've got a nice replacement rivet there, and we've still got the original try and wobble look. So I suppose with a little work I could make these a little tighter, so with a little adjustment. But I think there's some mileage to be had in that. Let's see if I can crack off the roof on that. There we go. So there, I think just a tiny bit more work on that, and I'd probably get a slightly tighter fit, but also as the rivet's been drilled out of there, they're quite variable, the bit that they poke into. So I think that's going to work out for quite a good replacement as time goes on. Of course, that could be used for the later Mark IIs, the Mark Is, of course, as well, across the range. So we'll stop rambling on about the coaches. I think let's just pop those out of the way. So we'll pop those on there. And again, more broken bogies there. So the wheels are always useful, and the axles. So it's always nice to have additional wheels and axles, because there's always a broken one somewhere along the line. I think there's one of those, if I'm imagining it, where the two axles had been, the two sleeved parts had been glued together. It's not one of those. I thought I had one out. There is one I've got, they've physically been glued. There's a big lump of glue holding the two sleeve parts together. But maybe I'm not going to sit and dig that one out. So here's the 56 catalogue. Lovely graphic image on the front there, isn't it? It's very dynamic. See if we can hold that up there. You've got this train looks like from the TC series, passing over the girder bridge. And you've got a green Princess, a much earlier one than the one I've got on the railway, with full valve gear on it there. And that beautiful single-ended diesel there, I love those. So we'll just open up, have a quick look. We've got the rusty staples. We must have a look at the rusty staples. There we go. They're well away there. So let's open this. I think we've seen this before, so we won't dwell on things too much. Let's just have a look at the coaches. So somebody has scribbled the prices on all of these. So there's possibly a shop copy. The pages are very, very soft paper. You can see the folding in there is really very, very fragile. So there it is. We've got the brake, R.28. And you can see the price, 9 3 there. BR mainline brake, third coach. And they call them, there's the length, they're slightly different length. So 8, I can't read that through the camera, and 15/16 or 22.7 centimetres. And there we go. So we've got coaches of slightly different lengths here. There's the shorter ones. So I think quite often these are referred to as 9-inch coaches, so all but 9 inches. And there we go, 9 3. So quite impressive looking things. So we've got the operating mail sets here. And then we've got some other interesting looking coaches, the Suburbans. I love the Triumph Suburbans. I think we've seen some of those quite recently on the railway. On the railway, I think, or maybe not so recently, but I think remember we had some of these short LMS coaches out at some point with a very old Princess. Can't quite remember how long ago that is now. So it's going to be getting on for a year, I suppose. So there aren't many pages in this catalogue, so perhaps we should just have a flick through it whilst we've got it open. Lovely colour, that orange. So very bold colours. They must have looked terrific on the shelves of the toy shops at the time. And I think that is just an amazing sort of overview of all the station items that could be had. So let's just flip over. You'd be a very, very lucky person to have had all of those things. David Atkins recently had a video, and he showed he'd got all of these items to make up almost all of that. In one of his videos, he had some standard track Super 4 System 6 all out in his shed, rolling around the layout. Tremendous looking items. There we've got the standard track there. Various power items. We've got the track bumper for the TC series there. They're quite a sought after item. The old buffers there. And the TC locomotives. I'm not sure the illustrations were quite as accurate as they could be, but they definitely get the point across. I don't think you really need to worry too much, or people didn't worry that much about it then. Sort of trade descriptions isn't what it is now. There we go, we've got some writing on the back there. I can't read that. Does that say 4 straight, 1 pair points? So there's no dealer stamp on there, but there's some lovely layouts there. So let's just pop that to one side. We'll see if we can get the locomotive on, and we'll see if we can send it off around the layout, and I think that'll probably be about it. So we'll have another video next week. We'll see if I've managed to make any additional progress with the railway. As I say, it is slow going at the moment. And we do have, I'm not pointing in the right place. I was looking at the tender and not at what I'm doing. So it is slow going. Well, we do have some more bank holiday coming up, so I'm hoping to have some time off to devote a bit more to this. But it's great fun. I've been much more impressed with the system than I was when I was a child using it. So we're all on there. Let's check to see if we've sorted it out. No, it all looks good, so we need to swap to forward. And I'm going to open another set of points while I'm here. So 1. And we will open number 6. So 6. Open. I just realised I tried to open 1, but I need to set it to curved. Not thinking. I'm talking and not thinking. So, and then number 10 I think needs to be opened. That'll get us onto the elevated section, and then we should open 2 so we come back round. So 10 as well. Open, and number 2. We already open. So that'll be interesting. Let's see. I think number 2 might already be open. So let's give that some power. So I think the locomotive is already selected. I don't think it'll deselect when you take it off the rails. So we are in forward. Let's give that some power. And off she goes. Slight stutter on that curved point. And let's see if all this works as planned. Yeah, it definitely shows up the dirty track, but then it always did. Off over the bridge. And I wonder whether we'll get a derailment at the other side. So we'll take some power out of that. Straight around. And here it comes, and we'll bring it to a gentle stop. And there we go. Thanks again for watching. If you look back next time, we'll have something else from the range to look at, and we'll see what progress I've made with the 01. Goodbye now.